everybody, how you doing this evening? Happy Mental Health Mondays. Your boy Matty B Epis Radio. We are about to begin. This is episode 14 of Mental Health Mondays. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, if you're watching in post, appreciate you as always, and keep showing up. Let's get this show on the road. Hit the intro now.
Wake up! You can't remember where it was. Has this dream stopped?
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind. And hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
Was true. In my love, in my
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind.
Oh, hey. Wanted to talk to you about golf. You see, golf is a lot like life. Most of the time you're going to fail. But every now and then, you're going to have that one shot that keeps you coming back for more. It's the epitome of keep showing up. You could probably fail 7 times out of 10. But those 3 good shots, what a feeling. And life's kind of like that. A lot of times, you're going to fail. It's the reality. But we keep on coming back for more. And we keep on peppering away, baby. Ooh, yeah. Just like that. On the dance floor. Keep showing up. Now, you know, I was upset with the way that ended. That's right, I'm gonna let the music play. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Happy Mental Health Monday. All right, we are back. It's another week, episode 14. Jeez, brain is fried. It's been a long day, busy Monday, and a bit of a gloomy Monday too. You know, just rain, torrential downpours in my area. I don't know how it is wherever you're watching us from, but man, it's just a crazy day. It was relatively nice weather-wise early on in the day, very humid, and then these thunderstorms came in and hit the area, and flood watches are in effect. Craziness going on. I'm good though. We're home. You know, everybody's chilling here. No issues here. No flooding in the basement as of yet. Still raining, I'm pretty sure, actually. It's still coming down pretty hard. But yeah, just as a Monday for all the Mondays, you know, as it gets in terms of just weather. And for me, work-wise, crazy busy in the morning at least. It would calm down in the afternoon. So it was a nice second half to the day in terms of work. But yeah, we're back, episode 14. I hope you enjoyed this week's mental health video of the week, as I just showed you at the top of the show right there. A lot of people are saying that it wasn't a good shot. They're wondering how many takes it took to do that. All right. I'll tell you the truth. Just 2 takes total. 2 takes, 2 shots. Didn't really care about the result of the shot. If it was going to go, if it was a bad shot and I shank it, you know, I would have left it in and turned it into more of a comical ending. Or it's basically what you got, and it was a pretty decent shot, if you ask me, at least, you know, in regards to my ability when it comes to golf. And, you know, just a more, you know, positive, keep showing up, you know, like, yeah, look at me, you know. Kind of finished the Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm having a lot of fun using the microphone. I got so many ideas that I want to do now. So it's been fun doing that. And again, golf is a great example of life. That's why part of why it's so popular. Really keeps the player, coming back for more. Not to get too sportsy on you, but it's true. More often than not with golf, you're gonna fail. I said 7 times out of 10. I was thinking more, along baseball statistics, but realistically, like for an amateur golfer, you can easily screw up 9 shots out of 10 majority of the time, but it's that one shot that really does keep you coming back for more. And yeah, what a feeling it is, and just a show of resilience when it comes to in regards to life, and everything that we put up on a daily basis. You keep on coming back for more, you keep on peppering away. That's really it. Like that's the message. It's there's so many ways you can look at it. We constantly beat ourselves up, man, but you know what? Keep on showing up, keep on taking our swings, keep on taking those hacks, right? And hopefully something sticks. Hopefully, yeah, maybe just one more time and I'll get it right, right? It's the epitome of keep showing up, truthfully, and that's been my mantra since I started the whole keep showing up thing for me. You know, success or failure, it doesn't really matter. It's a matter of taking those reps, taking those shots, and at the very least, you're gonna learn from your mistakes, and the more you do it, the more chances you're likely to be successful. It's golf, man. In a nutshell, you're just not, unless you're, John Daly, and you could just go up there, and just swing away. It's one of those things. It's one of those sports that is just it's gonna knock you down. And it takes a resilient mind to want to keep on coming back. I know a lot of guys that just quit. Not playing, can't do it. Or just don't care for getting better because how difficult it is. I mean, sports in general is very much like that, especially at a professional level. But even at an amateur level, in for golf, it is the true epitome to life. So I thought that was a good little metaphor, for the Mental Health Mondays, and what a nice day it turned out to be for it. I tell you what, the first half of that day was looking gloomy in itself, much like it was today in the second half of today. But yeah, it turned out to be a nice day. I waited late. It was about like 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 6:30. So sun's kind of like getting ready to set. Made for a nice shot, like it. And I'd like to get out there earlier, but I think it worked out overall, so not too bad. Anyway, how's everybody doing? How's your week? How's your Monday so far, the week? So much going on in Epis Radio land. I know for some of you still waiting. Nasty, what's going on? Yeah. I know, for some of you, been waiting on the sports shows. Dub is in New York right now. I was hoping to see him tonight. I don't know with the weather and all that like that, and because he's just generally like caught up in plans. I don't know if he'll be around for that. So again, riding solo. You got Nasty here in the chat though with me. What's going on, Nasty? How are you, bro? How's your night going? I don't know where Dubby is. We gotta find Dubby. He's out there doing something. Hopefully he's sheltering in place and not dealing with the elements of the storm right now. Kind of shitty time to be visiting New York when you get this storm. And he's like helping out a friend clean out their apartment, apparently, something like that. Just, this guy's... I know he would be here if he could be here, but, tied down with responsibilities and plans. So it's all good, man. But yeah, Nasty, what's going on? What are you getting into tonight? What are you doing right now, bro? Just talking about mental health video of the week and a couple of plans going forward for the show. Where we were in talks of doing an automotive show for Epis Radio. Basically, a YouTube series along with a maybe like once a month type podcast talking about cars and automotive industry. Mainly steered by a friend of mine that I was currently trying to recruit. As far as I know, things are, still in conversation, still in talks. But that's, something that's coming down the pipeline. Of course, I'll be keeping up with the note to myself. There'll be another video coming out later on this week. Definitely, check that out if you haven't already done so. I re-released a note to myself, episode 2. Just short clip. Me talking about my father. That's out on YouTube. I didn't get around re-releasing on the Instagram page, so I'll put that up on the Instagram and Facebook page. But that's a good one. It's right out right now. YouTube Shorts. Note to myself, episode 2. Check that out. I could even play it for you guys too at some point today. But yeah, check that out. And as always, sports, continuing with the short content and try to get some long form content out there for you guys. Maybe some go back in the archives and re-release some discussions with Dub and I on some of the long form. And we would like to do more shows in terms of the sports, but it's just been a busy time for me. Currently, training for 2 marathons and, just trying to do my thing with that, all the while juggling life with, wife and kids and, doing as much as I can with the daily content as is, so, but, don't stray, everybody. It's coming. So, just keep on tuning in. Nasty says, my boy going well, finishing up some Chinese chicken wings. Of course you are. Pork fried rice, watching All-Star, them beds. Who's winning the home run derby? I would love to know, because I seen O'Neal Cruz going off a little bit, and then I was like, nah, I gotta get to streaming. But yeah, let me know who's winning it right now. I'd imagine it's still going on, or it should be potentially wrapping up soon. I always love the home run derby. It's a beautiful thing. So one of my favorite parts of the All-Star weekend. But I do like All-Star, the actual game, All-Star baseball too. But yeah. So, something I want to talk about this week. Last week we were talking about being your own main character in life and in your movie. This week, there's a couple of things I really want to touch on. Parenting a little bit. Kind of having other people like impose their, parenting, ways up on you. In a kind of a non-consented way, if you will. Just an uninviting way, really. Saying, sometimes people like to offer their advice, and sometimes it's just not warranted. And I think a lot of parents, they feel the need to impose their teachings and their theories on other parents, or just people in general. And while some things that are being said are, I'm sure noteworthy or potentially good teachings. If it's not really asked for or warranted, in a given situation, it could come off very, very rude, potentially narcissistic. And it's something that I've observed with a lot of people. In all walks, just I've seen friends, family, coworkers, things like that. Just strangers. I meet a lot of people at work. People got a lot of things to say. And it's not always received well. It's not always something that you're seeking. I do this back and forth with my own mother, constantly, where she will impose her advice, or and it could be coming from just a genuinely good place where, like, she's just being a mom and just trying to help, but again, it's not always received the way you would want it to be. Or again, if I'm not seeking advice, sometimes I may just be talking to vent, get something off my chest, not necessarily seeking the advice. I mean, at least for me, there's been times where, like, I already have a solution made up in my mind. More so, it's just, oh, well, I just want to kind of get some things off my chest, talk about it a little bit, and that's really it. I personally, if I'm seeking the advice, I am going to, ask you, you know, I'll propose that question, there, then I suppose it's warranted, right? But if, you just, you know, willingly just throw it out there, and then just, again, not always necessary. Even, if it comes in good faith, and you got to understand how others may perceive it at times, yeah, it's something that crossed my mind. I've seen, observed people do it to other people, and it's just, you know, that's not really, necessary. Not something that, you need to be doing, And listen, at the end of the day, we don't all have the answers. I'm saying what works for you is not necessarily going to work for somebody else, or what works for their kid not going to work for their kid. Yeah, it's there's too many factors coming into play here. You know, in the grand scheme of things, yes, you want to your kid to follow certain morals and principles, things like that, right? But it's not, again, different underlying factors, different living circumstances, upbringing, the whole nine. It just, again, is not gonna, what works for you or in your children, or will not always work, for somebody else's. So it's very interesting. I had this one interaction with a parent at work the other day, and his daughter was there, and I don't even know. It doesn't necessarily tie into this, but it was interesting how like he felt the need to explain to me that because I had asked how old the girl his daughter was, and she was 3 years old, and he just immediately went into like this whole rant of, oh, she can read and write, and she's in the school with other fourth graders, things like that. Like, okay, I guess it's similar in the sense, like, I didn't inquire about anything like that, like, you just willingly, blurted that out there, and I get it, proud father, all that, but it wasn't, it didn't come off that way to me, by the way he said it, you know what I'm saying? It was very interesting. Yeah, and I had already made it known that I had a daughter as well. And it was just like his facial expressions when he said it, how he said it, the tone. It was a little bit of everything. You had to be there to really see it or hear it. But it was like, why did you feel the need to say that? Like, more or less, I'm never gonna see his daughter again, things like that. It's like, yeah, all right, not really pertinent for me. It was more just like kind of gloating that his daughter was like a little genius. And now, I mean, she may very well be. I mean, if she's reading and writing at 3 years old, my daughter is not doing that. So maybe it's my insecurities coming into play. Like, oh shit, what am I doing wrong? Even though I would think my daughter is pretty, like, up to par in terms of language, right now, but certainly not reading. That's for sure. um, Again, it goes back to what I was just saying, how what works for you may not work for us and things like that in different circumstances. I mean, this guy also was a doctor, so doctor money and privileges and, things like that. That goes a long way as well. You know, the guy might just have better genes at the end of the day, so that also is coming into play. There's the other underlying factors that are going on. But it was just weird, man. It's just weird, and that's not necessarily a great example of, like other parents or people like imposing their thoughts and feelings upon you. But I don't know, kind of way, it was a little bit of that. I felt like coming from him, especially again how he said it. It was weird. I could be reading far too much into it and telling a story for myself for whatever reason. And like I said, maybe the insecurity of thinking like, well, damn, because it was almost as if he like made me feel that way, like your kid ain't shit, my kid's like this, and I was like, it was very, as a true doctor would, honestly, make it, belittle a person underneath them. So you know what? It kind of makes it a little sense. Kind of makes a little sense now that I'm starting to play it back in my head. I'm like, all right, the guy, listen, I, love my job. Been working in healthcare for a long time, but I have come across one too many doctors that are a little bit too full of themselves, and it certainly find a way to impose that on you, especially in the moment. So. Just saying. I don't know. So, what's going on, everybody, again? Thank you for tuning in. We have some, got a little black coffee with a scoop of the mushroom coffee and milk. This is a concoction that is either going to keep me up all night or put me on the toilet and make me want to lie down. I don't know how this is going to go, really. But anyway, just something, and man, that applies to even if you're not a parent, just in general, one-on-one with a friend, a stranger, living dangerously over there with those coffee combinations, a little bit. It's a big, I do this at work, actually. I've been doing this with the scoop of the mushroom coffee. And let me tell you, it's been great for work, man. It gets me jazzed up, Got energy for days, But, yeah, it with the whole mushroom thing does kind of like mess with your stomach a little bit in a good way. It kind of regulates you. But, at work, not so great. That's not necessarily something you want to be playing around with. So I have been taking more frequent bathroom breaks. Becoming nasty Nasly over there, nasty nose. But yeah, it's something I've been trying. So why not? A little mushroom coffee. If you're familiar, with mushrooms, the amazing benefits and powerful, properties that mushrooms have. So, just be careful. Don't go be picking them wild, all right? Unless you're about that life and you know about wild mushrooms. I would not take that risk at all, because it's just the downside to getting that wrong could be not only deadly, just it's deadly. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it's not a good decision. But yeah, if you haven't tried to check it out, a little mushroom coffee. I use the Rise brand, but, do your own research. There's a bunch of friggin' mushroom coffees out there. Yeah, no wild mushrooms, folks. Well, listen, little mushrooms, you get from the, Johnny on the block. In a small, amount. Never a terrible thing either. Oh, man. But happy Mental Health Monday, everybody. I don't know how long we'll be going tonight. All right. What does Nasty say? Hey, maybe once in a while, a little camping thing. Nasty knows. I don't know how long I'm going tonight. I'm a bit tired. I wasn't even sure. going to be able to start on time today. I originally had a softball game scheduled at 8 p.m. That got rained out. So, kind of relieved me there. I was like, good, let me try to get a little early. But of course, with the kids, things like that, just not in the works, it's always something. And, not that that's a problem, but, it is what it is. My son, what a poor stretch it's been for my little boy. He was in the hospital July 4th. Now he's like breaking out with this like bad rash. And, I hope, I don't know if it's like hands and mouth disease. Kind of looks like it. Who knows if it's allergies. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, the dude's just breaking out everywhere now, all over the mouth. I'm like looking a little bit like he's got like, herpes. It's like, I feel so terrible for the kid. He's had a bad stretch, but thankfully his little hospital stint was shortly lived. We talked about that a little bit last week. But, starting to recover from that, and here you go. I wonder if it's kind of related to what he was battling, because doctors did say it was both viral and bacterial, or potentially. They don't even know for sure. And so I'm wondering if it was, has anything to do with that, his body, fighting off the sickness still, and this is kind of how it's manifesting. I don't know. It's a tough call. But, closely monitor. I'll be home tomorrow, so, Charlie boy be all right. Yes, Charlie is a warrior. It's my miracle boy. A lot going on in the Epis world, man. I don't know if I've fully put it out there on in the shows, but I am having another child. So there's that. I think it's time to announce it on the show, or at least because pretty much everybody we know knows. There's certain people that still don't know, but I will take care of that soon. Well, they may know now if they're tuning. Highly doubt it, though. Breaking news, baby. Yeah, you might as well put it out there. It's something I haven't really talked about it at all on this show in a while. I mean, she's 31 weeks pregnant now. We don't know the sex, mainly because we don't want to know. We could know, but we choose not to. We're old-fashioned that way. People tend to freak out, which is always something that's funny to me. Is what is the freak on not knowing what you're gonna have? Like, yeah. Mooncake, this is news to me. Yeah, there you go. What's up, baby? For those of you who don't know, Mooncake's in the chat on Twitch, and that is the wifey, the one and only, that is pregnant. And yes, what is the freak? Babe, what do you think? Is it all about with the parents and the need to know nowadays? I mean, not nowadays. I don't know. When did we start? Gotta look back. When did we start being able to tell the gender female? I would love to know that. Because I'd say, it's like it's such an arbitrary thing. There was one point in time where it's like, we just didn't know. You just had to wait, And then when technology eventually came along, we could do all these sonograms, all that, and then now 3D imaging, we know almost very early on. I don't know, I forget how early on in a pregnancy we could actually tell, but it is freaking early. And, like why? I get the whole, all right, I don't, what, I don't get it. Yeah, we gotta paint the room blue. We gotta paint the room. For one, the whole gender color clothing thing is just like kind of, ugh. It's a bit nonsensical. It's like, all right, dude. There are neutral things, and at the end of the day, who gives a shit? I mean, I put Charlie in all pink with like flowers and. Really, who cares? If that's something that really bothers you, I think you need to evaluate yourself as a person. But, I mean, it's funny, at this point, I just swap clothes with the kids. I know it's a very easygoing approach that I have, and my wife as well. And, we're not normal in that sense of parenting, because a lot of people are different when it comes to that. The giddies of buying things, but that's BS though, because you could still buy things in preparation, and like you're right though, because it, in a way, I hear what you're saying. Because I was talking about it today with Ursula, a coworker of mine, who is actually outside the OB and whoever other doctors and everybody else that knows nurses. One of my coworkers, the only one that knows the true gender of the baby, and I told her, because she just wanted to buy clothes, but she revealed to me today, and it kind of ties into what you're saying, is that the joy of buying the clothes is kind of gone, because she can't give it to me. She's got to wait till after the baby's born anyway. Yeah. So, because otherwise it would ruin the surprise for us. Yeah, so it's like, we stripped her of that joy anyway. And so now she knows, but now she's got to wait. So it's weird. I don't know. But you still can buy things that are gender neutral, or maybe just not. Look at, like, obviously, you're not, by the gender norms of society. You're not going to go out and buy like a dress for a boy. All right, so what? You don't go buy the dress, but you don't need to be buying a freaking dress or like a little, weird little thing. Like, who's buying that for like a baby, right? It's just regular baby clothes, onesies. You want to buy like a 2T, 3T thing. All right, buy like a T-shirt and shorts. That's kind of, like, it could go both ways, I don't know. Even if it was pink shirt, black shorts, that's good for both girl or boy, I don't know, like, really? Are we going to get crazy with it? I don't know, it's, and then I always hear the other part is, oh, I want to prepare, gotta prepare. Well, why? How are you prepared? Like, what are you doing that you need to prepare, so much? Like, we gotta paint the room this color. You gotta do this, gotta buy this in this, gender thing, Yo, Honors, Dad, what's going on, bro? How are you, man? Thank you for tuning in, bro. Good night. Fuck, you hitting the head early tonight, I see. 10 p.m., not a bad thing. Responsible. Get you 8 hours. It's a beautiful thing, baby. All right. Keep showing up, bro. Hope all is well. I know I didn't talk to you today. I'm here, baby. There you go. It's a beautiful thing. But again, like, I think the modern day parent, man, over prepares, freaks out on it too much. I think simplify the approach a little bit in terms of the preparation and all that. And especially nowadays. If all right, you want to reveal the gender, things like that, have a baby shower. Most time, if you have good supporting cast around you, things like that, you throw, baby shower, and people are going to buy pretty much everything you freaking need, right off the bat. Again, simplify the approach. Don't ask for too much. Don't ask for too many big items. You don't need, 3 different types of strollers and, 2 different types of swings and, all this other crap. Like, you just, simplify the approach, buy the practical stuff, things you're actually gonna need, diapers, things like that. Clothes, especially at that age, you don't need much. Yeah, there's only 7 days in a week. All right, I'm not saying buy only 7 items of clothing, but, people tend to overbuy when it comes to that, or it's just not practical. There's clothes that I've been gifted that we've never used, and it's not like, oh, we don't like it, things like that. We're grateful for it, but it's just like there's an excess amount. Like, what are we doing? It's not really necessary, and you could get by with a lot less than you think. as a parent. People make it out to seem, oh, it's super expensive. And yes, kids are expensive in this day and age, especially. But like, for example, having a new kid right now. 31 weeks. Have we bought any clothes for this child? Zero. Zero clothes. Don't intend on buying, like, maybe like one or two onesies. Like, we're going to get something, I'm sure. When it's nearing the time. And right, as Andrew just said, most of it ends up in Goodwill. Damn straight. I go purge. I purge, my closets and everything, the racks, all, a couple of times a year. I got the donation boxes, a couple of blocks away from me. And, a lot of the stuff, again, either I bought or has been gifted over the years or hand me down over the years. Get rid. I got bins and bins. I try to give it away. People don't want it. Why? Because they got bins and bins and bins. But you could have just invested that same type of money instead of where it's some practical, simplify the approach and just, buy diapers, buy that formula. When Charlie was going through it in the early stages, he was on this medicated formula that if we didn't get vouchers for was like $400 a month. Like, what? I didn't need half of the clothes I ever got, so that money, you could have just given me money. Now I know, like, it's not, things like that are not perceived to be as thoughtful. So again, we appreciate, as the parent, we appreciate it regardless, but when you start to really break it down and think in a practical sense, especially the modern day baby shower, people just go a bit over the top where it's like, yo, you know what? Let's just invest all this money, all right, in just the actual things that we need going forward to set that baby up for the first, year, 2 years, and then, there you go. And ongoing, right? I didn't think I'd be getting into parenting conversations here, but I've gone down a parenting rabbit hole. Honest dad, one or two onesies, right? Not for real though, because I already have onesies, and things like I don't, I'm gonna reuse those, and even the best part is I have both boy and girl ones, so we're set. It don't matter what it is, don't matter what it is. All right, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be a boy. I'm officially on record for saying that. I believe I've been right with every single child that I've ever had, which is kind of crazy. I believe I called Dylan my first child. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I called Dylan on that. It's a little fuzzy. But I know with my wife, I've called on every child as well. So I seen that 3D image, man. I was like, no, that's a boy, and it's all right. Again, I don't have any feelings to where it's like, oh man, I really wish it was a girl, and kind of like even out. And as much as I love being a girl dad, like, I'm not gonna like cry. I've seen like videos like that in gender reveals where parents like straight up cry and things. I guess if I feel bad for like the parents that you have like 5 kids, 4 of them, the first 4 all girls or whatever, or all boys. You really want that, mom really wants that girl, dad really wants that boy, and just like tears. It's a bit selfish. It's a bit selfish, because, at the end of the day, who cares? I guess, not having that chance to bond and with certain, with your girl, your boy, in that way, in that connection, it's different, no doubt, right? It's always going to be different, but to really like be dropped down, like, crying to where it's like, oh man, like almost as if to like say that you kind of like, you're just completely upset. It's a boy. You're not like, you always wish it was, a girl or a boy. And like, that's, I'm sure that feeling does not last, but I always found it interesting to see that type of reaction out of parents. Like, yeah, I really, either way, boy, girl, it's not going to affect me one way or the other. I'm not going to like, "Ah, man, no, would it be nice to have a girl and even up the score? I guess so. You know, maybe for my daughter, it'd be cool to have another sister growing up. Then she has the best of both worlds. There, I don't know. Maybe she may resent that for the rest of her life. I don't know. I wanted to be the only girl or whatever, and she'd be mad at us for it. There's no way of telling how that may go. Like, hey, it's this is the thing about parenting. You never know. And even when you think you're doing something right, you're probably doing something wrong. So I don't know. For me to be wishing here, like, oh, I hope it's a girl, boy. At the end of the day, man, none of it matters. What matters is, whatever that child may be, that you love them, you take care of them, you be there for them, you show up for them, and you try to guide them on the right path in life, regardless of what they are. That's it. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Anna's that coming from Twitch. What did you never think about? What did I say that struck that chord? What was it 2213? I just said it then. What was it? What was it that struck the chord there? Doesn't really matter or whatever. Like, or just the whole aspect in general. Just again, I don't know what brings a incoming parent or a new parent to tears that wasn't the same gender as them or a gender specific. Never thought that my daughter might just want to be the only girl. Okay, right. I mean, I thought you might be talking about that. Yeah, that's a thing, right? Like, that's a thing, and who are we to ever know that? We don't know that. Just in the same perspective of, not wanting another sibling, let alone another girl or a boy. Some kids just rather be an only child. Like, there's that only child complex, or oh, here comes another one. I'm sure Dylan felt that for years, and still now to this day. I gotta eat that as a parent, because the massive effect that had on him, not only coming from me but his mother. His mother had 2 kids, basically around the time that I did as well, with Dorothy, my wife. And right then and there, I mean, that's just 4 new siblings, coming into his life, and a relatively short period of time, about a 2-year span. I mean, that's insane when you really think about how, oh, wow, on top of already split parenthood, things like that's tough. That's tough for any child to handle, so that comes into play big time, and yeah, as much as I, want to go forth with my life and remarry and things like that, right, and have other kids, that's something that I gotta bite, because maybe the reality is, maybe he's almost in a way better off by not having those children. Now, you can't you can't ever think like that, but if you're looking at an alternate reality and seeing, oh, well, it could have gone this way, and it absolutely could have, and Same goes with his mother, potentially not having kids as opposed to having kids. Now, nobody's saying it's right or wrong. Like you're totally entitled to have kids. She's totally entitled to have other kids. She's entitled to have more, as well as I'm. I'm not going to have any more. Nope, we're scheduling that procedure. All right, soon, I promise. Fingers crossed, like I got both fingers. Yeah. But yeah, not to say that either party is wrong or right, for doing that, but yeah, if you want an outsider perspective looking in, everything has an effect on us, right? All the decisions we have in life inherently will have an effect on how we move forward. And certainly for my son, and my other, kids, Maeve, me having another kid, that changes her dynamic going forward. Now it becomes, that complex for her of, well, now I gotta be the big sister to not, only one, but two, and, her having already, a bit of a understanding now of, knowing that Charlie is not your typical 3-year-old, essentially. He's 2.5, but about to be 3, where he has disabilities, vision impaired, hearing impaired, and just as of right now, disabled, partially, disabled, from the waist down, mainly due to just his inability to use those muscles right now, things like that. Will that change? Potentially, yes, it will, going forward. But she's got to grow up coming into that, understanding that can't really play with him like I do with other kids at my age, and got to be gentle, got to do this, and it's just forever changing that that mindset in her, in her approach and her growth has an effect. Now I got a second coming in, and knock on wood, no issues there. Little one comes out all well and good, but yeah, that inherently changes her discourse on life and going forward. And who knows, yeah, she one day resent me for having another kid and be like, oh, he was, as much as I'll, you as a parent, you try to give attention to each child as best as you can, but Charlie, special needs, as of right now, there's no telling where that's gonna go. It's definitely as parents, it's gonna take our time away from our kids, and it's gonna have that type of an effect, and change them. That's the reality of it. Does it make us bad parents? No. Is it a poor decision for having more kids? I suppose you could argue that. I've heard that argument. I think for some people, having kids is having too much kids is a problem. I don't think, for me and my wife, this would be my 4th total child, and her 3rd. It's a lot, certainly a lot. I could not, I don't really couldn't not see myself having another child like that. I think that would be, I think then it would truly be getting to the irresponsible level. But could I handle it? Probably, but I just feel like at that point it's just a lot. And the other aspect is just my age. I'd be turning 34. I really kind of wanted out by 35. I always told my wife that, and I still really truly stick by that. Starting young. Oh, Nismo, what's going on? What's going on? Sorry, let me catch up with the chat a little bit here, guys. Nismo, how are you? Good evening. I'm getting hot in here. Nismo, how's your Monday? Oh, what's going on my chat? Oh, there we go. Not feeling as important, I was saying. It will develop her, especially having the parents she has, the uncle. This is me, but she'll develop into a well-rounded human being. I'm not concerned, baby. I'm not concerned. I think Maeve is going to be great. All of our experience shape us, good or bad. Guidance is what makes us all the difference. Sure. No. Yeah, Nismo. Gotta get my little to bed. All right. Have a good stream. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch up. And happy Mental Health Monday to you. And I hope your week goes well, nice and smooth. All right. Keep doing your thing. Big fan. Irresponsible. One more. Nah, man. Not one more. No, I can't. Mooncakes, if you're still with us, Mooncake's probably passed out on the couch right now. But Honor says one more. Do we have one more child in us? No. Sorry. Can't do it. This is the one more. All right. It is what it is. Boy, girl. Watch. No, Nasty. Don't get her. Don't get in on this, Nasty. That is unacceptable. This is irresponsible conversation, people. Should we throw up a poll? Throw it up. Should I have a fifth and a Mooncake's fourth child? No, definitely not. See, even she agrees. Definitely not. Nah, man, we gotta relax at some point. All right, this is bullshit. We're locked in for the next 20 years, 25 years easily. By then, oh man. Just thinking about that. See, no, we can't do it. It's getting too old already. Getting too old already. Now, 25 years, I'll be 58. Nope. We gotta, they will be hopefully off to college or working or do whatever the hell they're doing. I can't do it anymore. We're getting too late. We gotta hurry up. This baby's gotta come out now. Let's get... No, not going. Don't. Little one, if you're listening on the other side of your mother's phone, stay in that belly. You guys are starting your own small nation. Yeah, we got a little bit. It's a little hockey team. We got a little hockey team. Not bad. We got a little hockey squad going there. No, we're just short of one. It's a pickleball match. How about that? We got a little pickleball team, okay? Got my own little minions running around. Or a small basketball pickup game, 4-on-4. Man, I do love kids. As stressful as it may be at times, I've been certainly going through with my older one, which is something I haven't really talked about on here. But, at the end of the day, I love all my kids. I love all my kids the same. And, a lot of what I do is to show them that, you are capable, to keep showing up through success and the failures. I was never, I'm never perfect, never will be. I'm not going to, sit up on this pedestal and say that I am. And certainly what I was talking about earlier in the show about imposing your parental knowledge or, your theories and, opinions and, whatever it is you think you should, impose on others. I don't have all the answers. And I know, my parents before me didn't either. Having kids, I've understood that, at the end of the day, if you have a kind heart and a good heart, everything you do is, within good intention, towards your kids, and you just want to, see them succeed. Don't have all the answers. Again, haven't said all the right things at times. Me being a young parent, starting at 20 years old, talk about irresponsible. It's irresponsible. I'm not, I've heard the argument where empowering yourself as a parent at that age, and truthfully speaking, I don't care who you are, it's an irresponsible thing to have a kid that young. It was back in the day, it is now, and mainly because you yourself, let's face it, you don't even know who you are as an adult or as a person. You're just at the tip of the iceberg of who you are as a person. Truthfully, it wasn't until my 30s where I, really become and I'm, just 33 now. So it's very short-lived time that I've felt comfortable in my own skin and my own thought processes. And still, I'm not perfect. Every day is a learning experience, raising children, doing, just living everyday life. But it's not to say that I wasn't ready in some ways. I was always I felt like an old soul. But in no way, shape, or form did that deem me a good a parental candidate at the ripe age of 21. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't have... And there's so much more than just the mindset and the know-how. And you could be a very smart, educated 21-year-old, think, book smart the whole nine, even street smart, if you will. But it's all the other things, too, being more financially stable, and having that, not way over your head. I mean, there was a lot of times, early on where, things weren't stable living wise, and it was okay, like live here for a little while, all right, move there for a while. Now I'm stable, been in one place for a couple of years now, have a home. The moves I have made were upgrades rather than downgrades. I feel like even early on, those early years with my firstborn, especially between me and his mother, there was a lot of chaotic times where it was changing of the environments, things like that, and in no way is that ideal. Circumstantial, definitely, but hey, like this is the boat that we put ourselves in by having a child. And hey, you can say there's a lot of credit that goes to both parties sticking it through and trying to make it work and trying to build something. And eventually, we both did, right? We both got to a point in our lives where, clearly more stable than the young 20-year-olds in which we once were. But in no way, shape, or form should you gloat about coming from that, area. I mean, I hear too, with my mother having kids, having, my brother at a young age. It's all right, you did it, but at what cost? At what cost for you? Preventing you from growing in other aspects of your life and things like that. I mean, like, if the reality is I don't have a kid at 20 years old. Could I have done more with my life in terms of education, things like that? Sure. Could also gone in the opposite end of the spectrum, and I've talked about that too before on the Mental Health Mondays, where I look at my reality of having my firstborn potentially saving my life and changing the course of my life for the better, as opposed to the worse. But again, at what cost? All while it saved me from going down a dark, deep path. Maybe it wasn't, not maybe, the scenario itself, just having a kid at that age, not being financially stable, you're just not ready, right? As we all are, like, not ready at that time. Like, I don't, what 20-year-old is, like, if you want to really, step up here and argue that, I would say you're full of shit. Like, kudos to making it work if you did, but at what cost? People talk about an ideal time to have kids, and it's hard to put a true number on it. If I'd have to say, probably mid-30s, only because, again, at that point in your life, you're just, you are like truly an adult at that point, right? And if you're mid-30s, you should have a stable job, stable living situation, financially adequate, because in this day and age, there's never enough money, but just financially capable of getting by and doing what you have to do and providing for that. I mean, like, financially speaking, I was a kid coming out of college trying to find a job. I ended up eventually doing phlebotomy, and I was an EMT. I was making, at one point, $12.50 as an EMT for a private ambulance company, with a kid. And even, 12 years ago, that was not remotely good in terms of livable. I was living with my mom, living with my grandmother, barely scraping by. So, if you wait till you're in your 30s, chances are you're going to be financially more stable and just more prepared, mentally. It's one less stress you have on you as a parent, that you have all of that. You have the stable living environment, things like that. You can't argue that having the kid earlier was better. It may be better in some ways. Like by the time they get older, I'm still young. Okay, but again, at what cost? Like, I don't want to, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to stand up here and say, oh, yeah, having a kid is a great decision. Yeah, I did it. Doesn't mean I shouldn't, like, all right, good for you. Like, okay. Now at the age of 33, me having a kid's like, all right, yeah, okay, it makes sense. Like, I feel good about this. I've had 3 other goes. I know I had my experience coming into it, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself, right? It's like the first child always gets the brunt of it. I know my brother always said that, 0 for those you that come from Shit Nation. Is my brother still streaming? Actually, he probably is. Oh yeah, he's still streaming right now. Check him out, Zero Sorrow. All right. I don't know if I could do this shout out. I gotta do that shout out. I think I talked to him about that. Check out Zero. He's streaming Marvel Rivals for those of you in the Twitch community. Or if you come from YouTube, you want to check out Twitch a little bit, check him out. Zero Saru, Saru. All right, it's my brother. He's streaming right now. I might stop by a little bit later after his stream, depending on if I'm still going. Nasty's dropping something in the chat. Let me dial it back here for you guys. You know what? I'm a little tired of this picture, peeps. Let's go. What are we gonna do here? What are we gonna do? Should I go Marcy? I do like Marcy. No, you know what? I'm gonna go with the cabin. Let's do that. There you go. Beautiful cabin. All right, my Adirondack cabin. Let's see what we're saying here in the chat. Nasty, what you talking about? Honor. I thought you were going to bed. As parents, we tend to feel we know something, or we grow older and think that just comes with wisdom. Yeah, and that's just not the case. 100%. Yeah. 20 is way too soon. Yeah, for sure. But I've heard the argument, or people glorify having kids at an early age, and like I just disagree. I mean, listen, even if you're financially stable, because that was one of my biggest talking points when it comes to that. Say you're just, you're in money, you made your own money early on. I don't know. Maybe you invested in Bitcoin or something when you were 18, and you just hit it big a little bit. Even then, the parental knowledge and wisdom, is not, it's not something that you want to learn on the fly. It's you want to grow older as a person for yourself, There's things as parents you're never going to be prepared for. I don't care how many books you read, all the self-help books, things like that. Like, man, there's going to be scenarios that pop up in parenthood that, are just going to stump you regardless, And you're never going to have the right answer for it. Or you're going to think, constantly battle back and forth, oh, is this the right thing? That's the right thing. And you'll never know if you made the right decision or it'll just come back to bite you in the ass anyway. It's mid-30s for sure. Yeah, for sure. I had a baby as goddamn intern. Right, exactly. That's what I mean, bro. And, I appreciate you saying that. But it takes a good person and, a person of accountability to admit that. I was having a baby when I was a freaking intern. What the hell am I thinking, right? Changed the course of my life, and it changed the course of that child's life. There's no doubt about that. And that's okay to admit that, man. We're not perfect. We're human beings. It is what it is, man. We make our choices, But to pretend and sit up on this pedestal and be like, it's a good thing that I had that. Look at me. I was able to do it. Well, all right. Oh, there he is. I was just talking about you. And there he goes. What's going on, bro? What's going on? Happy Mental Health Monday, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Zero. Hope you had a good stream. I was tuning in for a little bit there before my show. What's going on? Big discussion about parenting going down right now. I'm holding myself accountable and throwing my cookies out on the table and calling myself out and saying, you know what, maybe having kids at an early age, not a great idea. I think this all started by me, mentioning that I'm having another child. And, we got into this whole discourse on it. But thanks for everybody for joining in. This is your host, Matty B. Epis, for those of you that are familiar. All right, this is the one and only Epis from Epis Radio. All right, we're doing a little Mental Health Monday, episode 14 today, live stream on Twitch and YouTube. So for those of you that are coming here from Twitch and listening on YouTube, we appreciate you. As always, keep showing up. If you haven't already done so, please follow, like, subscribe, the whole thing. Go check out those socials. All right, I got weekly content out there. I drop a mental health video of the week. That, since you guys are here, we can, show you a little bit what I do. All right, if you're not familiar with the page, so we'll drop that for you. We'll continue the discussion. Right before I get to I did want to get to Nasty's chat here. Nasty, for those of you that coming from Twitch, Nasty saying in the chat, I was 19 and my girlfriend at the time, and I decided for her to have an abortion. I still think about it to this day and think about I would have had a kid in their teens. Scared the hell out of me. It is and was not an easy decision. I still think about my decision. Still to this day, go with the back and forth wondering. You're a brave man and a good dad. Well, Nasty, I appreciate you sharing that, bro. I can relate. Had not only one, but two abortions in my time, and not me personally, obviously. But it has happened. Also, I've lost a kid due to ectopic pregnancy, and we've had, most recently, me and my wife had a stillborn. I've had quite the history with children. Probably should have had a football team. Didn't pan out that way. So it bodes well for me to get my things clipped. But listen, I was having a little fun when I was young, and that's a part of what I was talking about earlier, holding yourself accountable to that. Sometimes as parents, I think we glorify, having kids, at a young age, or at least I've heard that argument, and I don't agree. You know what I'm saying? It's not, whether you're financially stable or not, most of the time you're not going to be. You're in your early 20s, but you get to your mid-30s, should be more of a stable time for you, but may not necessarily be your perfect ideal time either. For some, it could be your, early 40s, But nasty. Going back to what you're saying about the abortion, my man. I know that's tough, and I know that you could get hung up on that and the what ifs, the what could have beens. You made you and your girlfriend or your girlfriend made a decision, and very hard decision at that. But ultimately, you're not with her anymore, right? It's a tough subject for some, whether you're pro-abortion, against abortion. I don't know at what stage, this abortion came, but obviously, knowing you within legal guidelines at the time, I'm in favor, as, woman has the right to do whatever it is they want with their body. And, that is their right, Could it have been a potential life? Could it have been a good life for some child? Possibly. But you may have also spared that child from an existence that, was rather less than ideal, I think that's the harsh reality of that decision that a lot of people don't quite understand. Now you could argue, oh, well, let the child be born, go up for adoption. I will say this too, what kind of quality of life is that as well? Now, who knows? Could that potential life go on to be an all-star athlete and live an amazing, inspirational life and have a story to tell, the whole nine? I guess theoretically could. The odds of that happening are insane. But not out of the realm of possibility, I suppose. I know that's a tough decision for some, but it's a decision that you guys made, and in no way should you be ashamed of that, and I don't think it's something that you should let rack your brain for so long. I had there was this girl that I was messing around with in college that ended up getting pregnant, and she at the time, just was in a position in her life that, was not, I mean, she was a big partier, a lot of drugs, things like that. She was in no way, shape, or form mentally, physically, financially capable of taking care of a child. And, me too. Again, we just mentioning that at that time in life, it was around the time, where Dylan was about to come into play, and she made the decision on her own. I had no part in it. It was her call. I would have, me being the person I am, never would have shied away from having a kid. I, would have taken that responsibility on my chest and dealt with it accordingly, but, she decided to move forward with that decision. I'll never forget it, man. It was my birthday. I don't know how old I was at the time. I know it was my birthday when I got the message, but it was after college. Had to be like my 22nd birthday. I don't think I was turning 21. That's crazy if it was turning 21. I feel like I was turning 22. And she texted me and a picture of like the confirmation of abortion, whatever, so it was like a sonogram, the whole nine, and told me that she had an abortion. And I always wondered, I was like, was she really telling the truth? Like maybe she actually had the kid in secrecy. But not that I know of. I've never heard of anything, and sadly enough, she actually ended up overdosing years later to a cocktail of drugs, heroin, ecstasy. I think there was a little coke involved as well. Pills, I'm sure, alcohol. Yeah, on it. That's not something you want to laugh out, bro. But that did happen. That did happen, and that in itself has weighed on me heavily. There's, for the rest of my life, I'll never forget that. I always wondered if I was maybe a part of the reason why, as contributing to her suicide. I really do feel that way. I'll never get that closure. Loved her to death, by the way. She was really just a vibrant, cool energy of a person. But Honor knows who I'm talking about, actually. So keep it to yourself, guy, all right? Yeah. Honor's an old friend of mine, met back in college. No, I wasn't laughing at the other day. I didn't think you were. What part were you laughing at? I was talking about abortion and not Jesus. All right. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate just pretty heavy chat that all you guys came in on tonight. Who knew this episode was going to be about parenting? Kind of all started with imposing your parenting. It was a discussion that I wanted to tackle a little bit. It was just on my mind, and then it just went into this rabbit hole because obviously I meant, a little breaking news for the Epis radio shows. And, I am having a child expected due on 9/11. Not like a great day to have a baby, but I guess we can I guess we can turn that day into a positive by having a newborn. So even though the chances of it falling on that day is highly unlikely, and now the doctors are saying potentially delivery will come sooner than that, so we'll see how that goes. What was he saying? Dodging bullets. I didn't even know that. No, you knew that, but now I feel horrible. Oh my god. Yes, you should feel horrible. Definitely got a little heavy for a bit, but this is a Mental Monday is all about. Yes, Nasty, absolutely. Yes, it's been a good show. Believe it or not, we're an hour and 20 in now. I don't even know where the hell the time's going. I was over here talking, I'm probably not going to go too long tonight, tired, all night, and isn't that always the case, though? Yeah, for real. Yeah, 9/11's the due date, but, again, chances of that happening, unlikely. But did find that a bit interesting. I have so much history on 9/11, as do all of us, right? But I lost two people that I know on 9/11, cousin of mine and a family friend, firefighter friend of ours. I was very close to the family at the time, and my godfather, that was his birthday. He ended up passing away a couple of years as well. So just 9/11 weighs heavily on the day. So interesting that the due date would end up being my newborn child. But hopefully, in any event, when that baby comes, boy, girl, whatever it is, as we were talking about that too, the preparation that goes into, new parents, the chaos that goes into it. For those of you who don't know, I am having a child, but one part of the aspect of it is that we don't know the gender. We don't care to know. We're just going to find out when that baby comes out. And, whatever cards are dealt are dealt. And I just always find it funny that all the preparation that goes into the new parent, and then all the chaos and, I got to prepare for this, I got to prepare for this, all the things that we buy, the excessive amount of clothes, the unnecessary items that we'll never use. One thing I, talk about imposing your parental advice on people, but if I were to give anything is, and I said it early on, is simplify the approach when it comes to parenting, especially early on, and minimalism, just, you don't need to buy everything. You don't need 45 different freaking outfits. There's only 7 days in a week. Yeah, your kid's probably going to poop to about 2 or 3 pieces of clothing, a day, in the beginning, especially for the new parent that can't seem to figure out diapers or how they work. But, blowouts do happen. We understand. You know, so you definitely want an extra pair of clothes, or at least a dishwasher handy. You know, a clothing, not dishwasher, a clothes dryer, you know, all that, you know, washer dryer handy. Um, but again, you know, it's about simplifying the approach, minimalism, you know, when it comes to parenting early on. People get crazy, man. Oh, I gotta, you know, buy these colors. I gotta paint this room this color. It's like, all right, that's a lot of that. Sure, you could do it. It's nice to get it done before baby comes around. Or you could just be simple and like do gender neutral stuff. You know, like it's just, you know, you don't have to, you know, buy all pink or, you know, buy all blue for the boy, or it's like so completely unnecessary. But again, to each his own. You know, I'm not, you know, just merely a suggestion, not telling you how to do your things or be a parent. Again, you know, part of what we talked about earlier is, you know, what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. So, you know, there's that too. All right. Now that I've gone on this long rant, and we're now approaching the hour 30 mark of the show, I'm going to replay this week's mental health video of the week. All right. It's a little fun one, talking about golf and how it relates to life. All right. And I hope you enjoy. Let's pull that up for you. Oh, hey. Wanted to talk to you about golf. You see, golf is a lot like life. Most of the time, you're going to fail. But every now and then, you're going to have that one shot that keeps you coming back for more. It's the epitome of keep showing up. You could probably fail 7 times out of 10. But those 3 good shots, what a feeling. And life's kind of like that. A lot of times, you're going to fail. It's the reality. But we keep on coming back for more, and we keep on peppering away. Just like that. On the dance floor. Keep showing up. Yeah, there you go. By the way, I'm interested to know anybody in the chat where that clip is from right there. The guy smiling right there in that. If you don't know, all right, maybe I'll give you guys for a second there. Let's see if you know. But it's from a movie. It's an old-time movie of mine. All right, there you go. Zero coming in hot. You spelled the name wrong, though. Donnie Darko, he's got it. Zero hit it on the head there. Good call. It's Donnie, though. But yes, Donnie Darko, if you have never seen it, Jake Gyllenhaal stars in it. That's a mental health one right there, man. If there's ever a mental health video, it's up there. It's a great movie to watch. Check it out. It's an oldie. I don't know when it came out. Let me check. Pull that up for you. One of my favorite movies all time, especially Jake Gyllenhaal flick. And honestly, I think at this point in his career, an underrated one, because he's so known for other movies. You know, oh look, I'm blocking some of it there, but there you go. Great movie, little sci-fi thriller. 2001, actually. It's talking about 9/11. That makes sense. That totally makes sense for me. Wow, it came out in 2001. I really don't remember it coming on, but an 8 out of 10 on IMDb and 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. All right. Takes place during the presidential election, 1988. Teenager named Donnie Darko sleepwalks out of his house one night, sees a giant, demonic-looking rabbit named Frank who tells him the world will end in 28 days. All right, and there's just it's more to it. Kind of takes place in a Halloween. It's a good one, man. Seth Rogen's actually in it. A very young Seth Rogen is in that movie. So, like, he was just beginning his career when that came out. Young Drew Barrymore as well. Maggie Gyllenhaal, really young. Patrick Swayze's in it. Great spot from Patrick Swayze in that movie. Check it out, man. It is mental health fuckery if you've ever seen it. But one of my favorite movies all time. I even have like the main character, the bunny like suit. I have like a little figurine in a box somewhere. An old ex-girlfriend of mine bought that I've kept all these years sitting in the closet. Still got it. But just a fun little movie. And I love that clip. Especially because where it's at in that point in the movie. You gotta go watch it to really understand. The soundtrack, very 80s, very good. All right, for those of you into the 80s rock, things like that. Chef's kiss. And good score there from Rotten Tomatoes. 88%. Still going strong, 2001. That's pretty damn solid. Goes to show, they don't give scores like that very often. So check that out. I did want to show you one more before we go. We've got so much of you guys in here. Another series that I had started up again because they played it on the previous week. A note to myself. I was talking about my son who was recently hospitalized with pneumonia. Basically, the YouTube series is just spoken poetry, in video form as well. And I put it out on the YouTube page, the episode 2. I'm going to post it on the Instagram and Facebook for Epis Radio. It's on the old one that I originally posted about a year ago. Is on my personal page, but it's not edited the way I have it currently edited now. So I'd have to, get that for you guys. Let me pull it up though. Hold on for you here. I'm just pulling up the YouTube page. All right. Let's see. I'm not sure how this is gonna look for all you guys, but check it out. All right. And if you haven't done so, go to the YouTube page. Epis Radio, okay, there it is. We got 13.2 thousand subscribers, everybody. 125 videos. We got playlist galore, all right. We got the live shows. We got the Note to Myself series. We got the Mental Mondays with Epis. All the episodes that we do live record here, Twitch and YouTube, post-edited, get put up on there, all right. This marathon playlist, that's for me to know and you never to find out. And, of course, the way we started Epis Sports, all right, our sports show, the weekly episodes, the short contents, and again, so much more. I mentioned earlier in the show that we'll be doing an automotive series at some point down the pipeline. We'll be talking about cars. We'll be doing self-help videos on how to work on your car, maintain your car. I have a very special friend of mine that I'm in agreement and talks with right now about agreeing to start a YouTube series about it and a monthly podcast as well. But check it out, Note to Myself, Volume 1. That's what we're calling it, Episode 2. All right. Limitless Studios, thank you for the subscription coming from YouTube. Appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for showing up. It's a beautiful thing. Zero saying, wow, that's so crazy, bro. It's been a ride and a half. It's on Tubi. Gotta watch that tonight. Oh, yeah. Oh, bro, Honor, you gotta check out Donnie Darko, bro. That is, just be careful, bro. It might, all right, it might get you a little bit mentally. It might throw you in a funky mood, all right? It's not necessarily a happy ending, all right? I'm gonna warn you right now. But it's a great movie. It's uplifting in my own way, the way I perceive that movie to be. I love it, man. It's one of my probably a top 5 for me, really. And I'm so happy to see that score on Rotten Tomatoes there. I didn't even know that, man. So here's the Note to Myself, Volume 1, Episode 2. I gotta stop talking. I'll just keep on rambling, everybody. He's like, I'm already crazy, so don't worry. A note to myself. Where did the good times go? Oftentimes I find myself reaching for the phone, knowing you could never answer. But often find myself wishing that you could. Where did the good times go? The days you would drive me to and from practice, the endless summer days and nights playing wiffle ball in the backyard, the days where we would jump off the side of the pool even though you told us not to, the days where we would listen to smooth jazz in the car with no destination in mind. I'll never forget the days spent at the ballpark with my favorite person. You were my best coach, not only in sports, but in life as well. I look at your picture on the wall and wonder, where did the good times go? Where did the good times go, baby? That's right, that's right, that's right.
Hope you find
Hey!
some kind
And
of
look,
peace
there he
of
is.
mind.
The Epis. A note to
Yeah, man,
myself.
I'll play that just to show you the picture of my father right there. Look at that handsome devil. 1952 to 2007. He's the reason why we have Epis Radio, why it's called Epis
A note to
Radio,
myself.
why I'm alive. Let me
Where
shut
did the
that
good
off
times
there.
go?
All right, guy. All right, there you go. No more there. Yeah, my father, man. We'll have more shows. We'll have more mental health, and we'll talk about the originator, the real OG of Epis, and why, I've mentioned it, why, Epis came about, the word and everything. Papa Daddy, that's a good one, actually. I like Papa Daddy. I never heard that one before. Man, he was everything, man. I owe it all to him. Unfortunately, passing away due to liver cancer in 2007. Freshman in high school, talk about changing the discourse of one's life. Forever changed things for me going forward. But, this is our life. This is the life we live. We only get one opportunity. He made his choices, and, there were consequences to it. And unfortunately, a great soul that was gone too soon. And, we're all wishing that he was still around with us today. But, man, still, again, you see the name Epis Radio, and it's because of him, man. He was Epis. He is Epis. He created that word. He was the epitome of that word. It was an everything type of word that he used to describe anything and everything. And that's why I turned it into an acronym for the show in relation to sports, everything possible in sports. And now just using the name as, the brand, the Epis brand, because that's what it is, and everything remains possible as in that word and in this show, and that's it. That's been my show's, what do you say? What is it called? Like my show's message, right? The overall theme of it. There's a word that is I can't seem to. I'm missing right now. For lack of a better word, it's the show's message. It just shows. Man, what is show's statement? I know there's a phrase or something I want to say. Can't come to think of it. But there you go, man. That's the message, and that's the message for you today, everybody. As always, just keep showing up. All right, I'm about tapped out. We're going almost an hour and 40 now, and we're in the 11 o'clock hour Eastern time zone. It's been a hell of a day. Started out getting a nice little text message from my boss asking me to come in early, as if I'm reading text messages at 5:45 in the morning. And what a busy day it was, and what a busy week it will be. Thankfully, I'm off tomorrow. I get to relax. I was thankful to Mother Nature for letting me prep a little bit more for this show today. I was supposed to have a softball game at 8 p.m., and that was rained out. As much as I like playing the softball, we could play it another day, all right? And, you know, hey, listen, you know, as much as I like getting out there doing the thing, I really do, I probably like getting behind the camera and talking to you guys a little bit more. So just the fact that I could be here on time and a little bit early tonight. We went early, started around 8 and 9:30. We've been going, you know, longer than we usually do. So thanks for everybody for participating in the chat. Honors, Nasty, Zero, Mooncakes, love you all. Nismo earlier, thank you for stopping by. Limitless, thank you for the subscription on YouTube. Thank you for showing up. I actually was just checking out your page during the break there. Gave you a little subscription. A shout out to you if you're still with us, Limitless. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the support that the channel has had, the constant growth that we had. So many more things down the pipeline. Couldn't be more excited about it. Couldn't be more tired. But I'm willing to be tired for you. It's been a hell of a journey, and let's keep this shit going. And listen, a very happy Mental Health Monday to all of you. All right, we're going to send it off, hitting this outro. And tune in, as always, next week, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, unless I say otherwise. All right. And check out for the shorts. Get some short videos out there for you. And, of course, the sports and everything else. All right. We love you. Keep showing up. Everybody have a safe and wonderful night. And until next time.
Wake up! Is every number where it was? Has this dream stopped?
Hope you find some kind of peace of mind. Find. And hope you find some kind of peace of mind. Find.
All right, everybody, have a good evening and a good night. It's good night already, 11 p.m. We'll see you next week. Keep showing up. Epis Radio.